Hello everyone, this is a quick demo on how to use our GridSight indicator without any prior bias. So before we get into this, if you haven't watched our introduction to GridSight video, I would highly recommend you watch that video first because we go over many important terms and concepts that would be very useful for this video. But moving on, in our intro video we explained that GridSight supports probabilities for both bullish and bearish scenarios. Therefore, as a trader, it is your job to determine your own bias to get the best results out of this indicator. However, determining a bias is one of the hardest aspects of trading. Therefore, this video shows a simple technique for how you can use GridSight without any bias in mind, using nothing but basic statistics. So how does this work? Well, as you know from the introduction, the grid's x-axis is based on time. In this example, from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. This time window is 4 hours long, and we also offer 1 hour and 1 day time windows as well, which can be toggled in the settings. But anyways, in this 4-hour period, we split the grid into 4 separate columns. Now, our simple technique is if we don't have a bias, we can simply wait for price to trade through the first column. And if price closed bullish in the first column, we can assume a bullish bias for the rest of the period. And if price closed bearish in the first column, we can assume a bearish bias for the rest of the period. So here are the stats that back this up. We have multiple instruments here and multiple time windows. And what this is showing is the probability that if the first column closes bullish or bearish, what are the odds that the entire period will close in the same direction? So in our case, we were looking at British pound with the H4 time window, and here are the stats. If the first segment closes bullish, then there is a 66.5% chance that the entire period will be a bullish close. On the other hand, if the first segment closes bearish, then there is a 67.66% chance that the entire period will close bearish. So these are pretty impressive and high probabilities. And this number is no fluke because we can see these high 60s values consistently across multiple instruments and timeframes. So that means we have a high 60% probability that the first column's closing direction is indicative of the closing direction of the entire period. So let's look at an example to clear things up. We are on the pound dollar M5 chart, and we have GridSight loaded up with the 4-hour time window, and we can see a new grid is just being formed. It is starting at 2 a.m. and ending at 6 a.m. here. And deciding between bullish and bearish is not trivial here because we have been consolidating for the past few hours, so we're not sure if a breakout is going to occur soon. And if so, we have targets on both sides. We have these weak and equal highs, and we have these weak and equal lows as well. So deciding which side to go is not easy, and that's why we should use that simple technique we just discussed, where we let the first column play out. So the first hour of this 4-hour window, we let it play out, see what direction it closes in, and follow that direction as the bias for the rest of the period, knowing that we have a near 70% certainty that we are looking in the right direction. So I'm going to step through until we get to our next snapshot. And here we're at the next snapshot. And there are a couple interesting things we can see here. First off, we have definitely closed above the open here. We can see overwhelmingly, so our bias is bullish. We have created this low here in the first top left red box, and we have a 64% chance that this low will be the low of this entire session. We also have a 24 plus 14 plus 10, which is 48% chance that price will reach up into these top 3 boxes here. And combined, if we add all 6 of these boxes, we have a 78% chance that price will make a higher high from our current high here in one of these 6 boxes. So now that we have a bias based on our simple technique, and we have these numbers that are quite strong, we can potentially enter a long right here, keep our SL down to our current low. We have a 64% chance it'll hold, and aim for a simple 1-to-1. That's a potential trade. Or we can keep rolling forward and aim for a more precise entry with some sort of entry pattern. So let's keep rolling through. So we see there is a fair value gap here that was created. Potentially we can look for longs in here. Using our stop here, it has a 64% chance of holding, or we can be more precise. Depends on the entry pattern, but let's keep rolling through. We see now our low has a 96% chance of being the low of the session, and looks like we still have some high probabilities to reach an even higher high in these top right boxes. And we do exactly that. So there you have it. This is a simple technique to use GridSight without a bias and have a near 70% probability that you are trading in the right direction, along with probabilities to guide your stop loss and take profit placement, which makes trading much easier.